My question for you today is, are you drinking poison just because you're thirsty? Because at the end of the day, when you are extremely, extremely hungry, everything tastes good. Now, these two things can be applied to your life in many different ways, but for this video in particular, the point is with our relationships. We deeply desire to connect with someone, if that is a friend, associate, have good relationships with our coworkers, be able to have this big friend group, or even get into a serious relationship with someone. But when we are in a position of deeply desiring it isn't a problem because it's innate in us. But when that deep desire turns into more of desperation, or we are willing to settle to an extent or be blind to an extent in order to have these things in our lives, that is where it becomes a problem. And that's when we start to accept things and allow things to be in our life that are actually really, really damaging, but we just don't realize that it is. You have made goals for your life. If you're watching this video, you are obviously trying to do better. You are wanting to have a better life. You are doing better. You're putting in actionable steps for a better life for yourself. But the thing is, just because you are doing it doesn't mean that everyone is doing it. Just because you are doing it doesn't mean your whole friend group is doing it. Doesn't mean your whole family is doing it. And in general, I would personally recommend to have people in your life that align with that. But at the same time, not all the time are you going to have people that align with what you want. So if you have a friend group, let's say you have 3 friends, right? And none of them align with where you are going, what you want for your life. I'm not here to say, cut them all off. No, I'm not here to say that's a decision that you will, you'll make that up on your own. It's your friendships, your relationships, whatever. But the point is that because that's all you have and you don't want to be alone, you can end up accepting certain behaviors from your friends or accepting being misguided by your friends simply because you want to have somebody around. They may not be the best. They may not be the most encouraging. They may not push you towards your goals. And that's what you need. But yet, again, you are hanging around them because you rather hang out with people that are good enough than to be alone. And like I mentioned, I'm not saying that you gotta cut everybody off, because there are some situations where you cannot get away from these people. For example, friends that you tend to be in the same groups with in school, in your workplace, family, people who you live with. There are a lot of scenarios where you can't get away from people. I don't know if I mentioned it, but work, your coworkers, like you're around these people all the time and it's very hard to get away from them. So again, all these things can have an impact on you, but again, you can't just cut them off, or maybe you don't want to just cut them off. So what do we do now? Well, there actually is a way to handle this situation when you are surrounded by people who are not good for you or just good enough for you, but still their actions and their words can have a negative impact on you. The first thing is to be conscious. So much of the time we are going through life and we're not conscious of much of what's going on around us. Like, things are happening and we're not seeing it. People are saying things and we're not actually taking time to think about what they meant. We're like, oh, okay, that felt a little off, but I'm not really going to dig too deep into it because it's not that deep. And generally, we're moving through life pretty much unconsciously a lot of the time. So when it comes to being around these certain people, it's important to be consciously aware of who you're dealing with. Know your audience. If you know that, for example, you are somebody who wants to continue your education, you want to get your degrees, you want to do all this, you want to build up, all those letters behind your name, but the person who you're friends with is not like that. They didn't go to college, they dropped out, they have no interest in it. Let's say they just weren't generally a good student, and you're conscious of that. You are aware of that. So let's say you either talk to them or you reflect on the time that you talk to them about your desires to continue your education. And they, throughout that conversation, made comments that were very discouraging. But it wasn't direct. It wasn't, oh, you can't do this. It was more so of, are you sure that you want to do that and that it's going to work out? Something that's a little bit more subtle. Well, because now that you're consciously aware of it, Maybe you left that conversation feeling a little bit discouraged and you didn't realize why. Now you know why. And now you know your audience and you know, okay, I can't talk to this person about this thing in particular. Not only can I not talk to this person about this thing in particular, but I have to be aware of the comments that they make surrounding this very specific area of my life, because I know that they are more likely to discourage me in this area. And because I am aware of that, instead of just hearing it and it resonating in my mind and it resonating in my body and me feeling discouraged and it emotionally affecting me, instead I can be aware that it is happening so that I can correct it in that moment mentally for myself. They say, oh, that may be a little difficult for you. You hear it and you mentally correct it. No, it's not going to be difficult for me. And because you're aware of it happening, you're less likely to just have it unconsciously influence you, influence your mindset, influence you mentally, influence your actions. You're less likely to have that happen because you are aware of what's going on around you. A lack of awareness can be the simple difference between you feeling emotionally discouraged and that impacting and affecting your actions that you take next, versus you being able to understand that's this person's issue and they're putting it on me and I'm going to consciously reject it. And when paying attention to this, honestly, I will say that it can be easy to get frustrated. It can be easy to get upset because it's like, you didn't see what this person was doing before. Now you see it and you're like, what the heck? Why would you say that? What the heck? Why would you do that? And the emotions can definitely start to come in. But my 2 cents is to be careful of your emotional reaction to it, because the goal here is to have the best situation for you. Not to get you wrapped up, not to get you angry, not to get you emotionally strained from the situation. That's not the goal. The goal is for you to just be aware of it, for you to be able to reject it. And yes, emotions are going to happen. Feel what you need to feel, but don't allow that to become the focus. Don't allow the emotional response to what they did to become the focus of what we're trying to achieve here. Because then, it's easy to go down that roller coaster of like, why would they do that? Why would they say that? That's supposed to be my best friend. Da, da, da. And it's like, okay, that's valid. That's 100% legit. Feel what you need to feel. But don't forget the point of why you're even seeing it. You're seeing it so that you can make actionable steps to be like, okay, I need to create distance with this person. I need to be aware of what they're saying so I don't allow it to impact me. And the focus is to create the best environment and space for you. That is the point. Now, with all of that information being given to you, you know that you can't have conversations with everybody. You know that you can't say things to everybody, because of the fact that there are some people who are definitely going to make rude comments, are definitely going to say very slick things. I know for me, I caught it one time after a while and I looked back and I was like, what? What? And here's the thing, a lot of people will project whatever they're feeling. If somebody doesn't feel pretty and you are pretty, okay, and they're feeling like they're not pretty enough and all this other stuff, sometimes they will make comments towards you. So it is very important to keep certain things to yourself, especially if you know, like in general, I think it's good to keep certain things to yourself. But if you know that you're very vulnerable in this area, like know yourself, and you know that there are certain areas where you're more likely to feel discouraged, definitely keep that more towards yourself. Only share with people who you're very, very comfortable with. But I wouldn't risk it with people who are like sometimes supportive, sometimes not. And that does suck, especially if you're somebody who likes to share, you like to be open, you like to tell people what's going on in your life, you want to have those conversations. It can be really hard to keep that to yourself. And wanting to share, honestly, is not a bad thing. I would say that sharing things that have already happened, that you've already done, is a good way to get around that. But it's not a bad thing to want to share. It's just who you're sharing it with. And the more people you share it with, the more likely you are to get discouraged, just because you're exposing yourself to more people. And something that you have to remember when you are tempted to share or want to share, first off, one, if you overshare, you learn something, okay? Don't get mad at yourself. I do that sometimes where I'm like, dang, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But it's okay because you are becoming aware. And again, this is a skill. A lot of stuff that I talk about on my channel, it's a skill that is built, because a lot of stuff mentally, again, still a skill that's built. Again, the question that I want you to remember, genuinely answer, and have ringing in your head throughout this entire process is, would you rather have a connection with somebody, even if it's temporary, but it's slowly hurting you and quietly hurting you over time, or be kept more to yourself? Yes, you may not feel that connection, but at the same time, you're not having this pain and hurt and negativity slowly, quietly there creeping in. Because yes, keeping to yourself can feel very alone. It can feel very lonely. And it is important to try to seek out like friendships and relationships and whatnot that are going to benefit you, but not all the time is it like that easy or that straightforward or that quick. So with that being the case, the other option is to have that quick connection with somebody who you already have in your life, but at the same time, they're slowly chipping away at your self-esteem. They're slowly chipping away at your confidence. They're slowly chipping away at your hope and your vision. And it's like, which one would you rather have be the case? Now, I do want to talk about how to spot if somebody is poisoned, because a lot of the time, these people who are very close with you, the people who are hurting you, sometimes, they come off as being like your closest friends, like the people who you can count on, the people who you can really like lean on. But even though they come off as your best friends and all this other crap, like they are your closest enemies. So let's talk about how, just a few, because there are many, but just a few ways that you can spot the poison. One is that they discourage you from things that are good for you. Now, a example that I can give of this is a relationship. If you have an individual who's in a relationship, and let's say like he has this girlfriend who's really good for him, and she's like really supportive of him and blah, 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 all the good stuff, right? And he can feel that that's the case, but his friends are telling him all the opposite. Oh, she sucks, you should be with us, blah, 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 blah. Well, if there's something that's obviously good for him and he can look at it and say, this is objectively good for me, she is objectively good for me, but my friends are discouraging me from her, that could be a sign that this person is secretly poisoned. They are secretly trying to hurt you, discourage you, pull you away from something. And again, even with them, it may not always be conscious. It could be underlying feelings that they're having, underlying jealousies that they're having, but they are again pushing that onto him. And this could look like a lot of different things in a lot of different areas. For example, if you want to get a new job and this job looks really, really good and it's what you really want, and then your friend comes to you and is like, I don't know if you should really be doing that. I don't think you're gonna like it. And just like a ton of like, not inquiring, it's a statement. I don't think you're gonna like it. I don't think you should do it. Statements. And you objectively know that this is good for you. You try to have conversations with them and let them know like, no, this is actually what I'm looking for. And it just seems like they continuously are pushing for the opposite, pushing you to do something that is actually not what you desire in your life. Again, this is a red flag. Next is pay attention to how they are talking about you. In conversations, they could be comparing you to other people. They could be belittling you in comparison to other people. And sometimes it's very, very slick. So make sure that you pay attention to this. A very slick example that I can think of right off the bat of ways that they could be comparing you and discouraging you without directly saying it is, let's say that you had a friend who did you wrong, right? They're gossiping behind your back and da-da-da-da. And you go and you talk to your friend about this situation. You're like, yeah, she was gossiping about me. She was treating me poorly, da-da-da. And your friend's response is, yeah, man, she's really gonna feel it because she's one day gonna get a great friend and she's not gonna want to be friends with her. If you caught that there, she didn't say, oh, she's gonna feel it because she lost a really good friend. No, she said she's gonna feel it because she's gonna lose a different friend. Now she's comparing you with this other person and saying, yes, there's a better person than you, and that's who they're going to lose. And that's a payback for losing you. So it could be very slick, where it's very disrespectful of like, no, you're the good friend. You were the person that were lost. You were the person who suffered. That wasn't okay for you. This has nothing to do with another person. It doesn't take another person to prove that you were enough. You were sufficient. Okay? So it can be very, very small and very, very slick like that, where it doesn't even look obvious that they are doing it. It doesn't look obvious that they are actually discouraging you in their words. And you have to pay attention, because they will do stuff like this and then you'll look back and you'll be pissed off. You're like, what? Why the heck would you say that? But again, it's not, I want to clarify this. It's not a reflection of who you are. It's a reflection of how they see you and a reflection of how they see themselves. So in return, don't take it as like, oh, I'm less or something like that. No, it's just, you have to be conscious of who you're around, because they could be trying to discourage you for whatever reason. And something that follows along this line is they tend to use the word we or other words that will include you in this scenario in regards to negative statements. So they could be saying something very negative about themselves, and for some reason they decide to pull you into, well, we know why, but they decided to pull you into it. Like, for example, if someone's like, they're upset and they're like, oh, we are so broke, like we really need to get a job. Who's we? We are not broke. You're broke. Who's we? And what are you talking about? We need to get, I got my stuff going on for me. Wait, who's we? And that's what I'm talking about. Like, sometimes they could use the word we, or they can use words that will include you. Like, if they're talking about general people, like girls are so blah, 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 blah. You're a girl, so they're including you in it as well. They're wrapping you right into that negative self-talk, wrapping you right into that negative stereotype. So be very careful when people are using the word we and paying attention to what they are saying. Be very careful of when they're using statements that include you, and pay attention to that statement that they are using. Because again, there are times where even if this action isn't fully conscious to that person, it is a projection of how they feel about you, or again, how they feel about themselves. And regardless, it is still hurtful to you. It can still be impactful to you, especially again, like we talked about, if you are not consciously aware that it is happening. And again, along this line as well is when they make it sound like others think a certain way about you, where a good example is if you are dating this guy. I guess this is, I'm just gonna throw this one out here because it's the first thing that came to mind. So if you are thinking about this guy, he's really sweet, he checks off all the boxes, like literally whole cup of tea, whatever, and you talk to your friend about it, and she's like, well, I don't know, maybe other people wouldn't approve. Who's other people? And where'd you get this idea of other people? No, they're not talking about other people. They're talking about themselves. They feel some type of way, so what they're doing is they're trying to make it sound like other people disapprove, because maybe they're jealous. So now they're saying other people would disapprove to try to discourage you, and they're trying to make it sound like it's this mystery group of people who are feeling like this in order to make themselves feel like they are just in how they feel, because they are backed by these random people who they kind of mysteriously made up. And then 2, they're trying to, it's actually quite passive aggressive, trying to make you feel like there are actually a lot of people that are or could be against whatever it is, like people that, again, don't exist. And instead of just putting out how they feel, they're wanting to say something negative and wrap it up into the word other people, or words that can describe other people, so that they aren't held responsible for the words that they are saying. They aren't held responsible by the opinions that they're saying. They can say it without feeling like they are the ones saying it. They can say it without feeling like you are going to connect it back to them. They can say it while not taking, again, any responsibility for what was just said. And they could say anything rude and disrespectful and be like, well, it wasn't me that said it. It wasn't me who thought it. And it's kind of like that type of way of hurting you. And again, it can be extremely hurtful in that way, or extremely impactful in that way, because now it sounds like it's not just one person who's thinking it. The way that it's placed is as if there are multiple people thinking it. And again, majority of the time, it's just them. Like, literally, it's just them. Like, there's literally nobody else. Them, themselves, and them. Literally, them and the three voices in their head. That's the other people. Like, literally, that is just them. It's literally just them. And they're just trying to make it sound like they got this whole group of people backing them, because sometimes they'll use the word we feel like blah, 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 blah. And not in the we of, like, me and you, but in the we of me and a lot of other people, when, again, it's just them. It's just them. So with all of this, next, because there is a next, is to call it out. If you feel safe to do so, call it out. Say, hey, I've noticed that you're doing blah, 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 blah. And this is if you feel like doing it. Honestly, some people just cut it off right then and there, but call it out and then pay attention to their next actions, because one slip up, one mistake, it's one. It doesn't happen very often. Again, it can literally just be a mistake. It can be an accident. It can be miscommunication. But once you notice that it's a habit and that it's a pattern, it's no longer simply just, oh, that was a one-time thing. Oh, miscommunication. Oh, an accident, slip of the word, whatever. No, it's no longer that. Now that pattern shows you a gateway to their intentions and to their heart. You see that there's a reason why they're doing this. They're doing it on purpose at this point. Especially once you've called it out, they are doing it on purpose. They know what you have just told them, and obviously it wasn't that important, or they just are, again, purposely doing it to hurt you. Either they don't care that they're hurting you, or they're purposely hurting you. And now that you have called it out, you can now see, okay, is this a pattern? Is this a habit? Or you can now see, is this person truly doing this on purpose? Which sometimes people are. I know some people say, oh, nobody hurts you on purpose. Yeah, I don't know what planet Earth you're living on. You're not living here. I'm like, I don't know if you're part of a different country or something that I never heard of, because people definitely will purposely try to hurt you. And again, the goal is not to get angry. The goal is to be aware so that you can get rid of those people, because they're probably not going to stop, especially until you cut them off. Some people here and there have a change of heart, and you do with that what you will. But until then, you have to be strict. You have to be, because especially when you're chasing big dreams and you're chasing a different life, and especially a life that's different than theirs, it can be a process, to say the least. And again, I'm not saying any of this stuff to say, hey, don't take constructive criticism, or everyone's out to get you, or whatever. But there are times where you can pretty much objectively see, hey, this person's out for you. They're out to get you. And I know the sweethearts out here are like trying to give the benefit of the doubt. That's me. And you sometimes need a wake-up call. Like, hey, sorry, giving the benefit of the doubt 24/7, even though this person showed that it's a pattern, is destroying you and hurting you. Like, you're literally just holding the door open for someone to come in and disrespect you, discourage you, and try to pull you down. And it gets to a point where it's obvious and you need to actually do something about it. Because trust me, life will improve when you're not having somebody constantly try to tug you down as you are trying to climb. But that concludes today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider subscribing and liking this video so you can continue seeing more videos like this from me. Make sure to take care of yourself. Your life is so important. Your dreams, your goals, your aspirations are so important. So please take care of them and watch over them and protect them. Again, your life is so important. Please take care of it. It is way more valuable than you will literally ever know. So watch over yourself, and please, please, please protect yourself. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.